Chapter 2. Arrival in the City. Welcome to the Tech. The city of the Tech bore no resemblance to her hometown. No trees, no flowers, no insects, no animals, no observable form of biological life. The entire ecosystem had been eradicated, replaced by a continuous mineral and metallic architecture, without rupture or breath. From the moment she arrived, she was overwhelmed by a profound feeling of disgust, quickly followed by a measurable physiological malaise. The air, although filtered and chemically stable, was poor in natural volatile organic compounds usually produced by vegetation. This absence disrupted her sensory references. Her breathing felt artificial, almost foreign to her own body. Her heart rate increased slightly, a sign of acute environmental stress. The urban planning of the Tech followed a strictly functional logic. The buildings, most of them several kilometers high, rose in massive columns before extending deep into the troposphere, where they formed a network of suspended platforms. The red-orange sky, already altered by an atmosphere saturated with industrial particles, was almost entirely obscured by these titanic structures. Sunlight, fragmented and reflected by metallic facades, was replaced by constant artificial lighting, calibrated to optimize human productivity and reduce natural biological variations. She felt a diffuse oppression, as if her organism struggled to adapt to an environment devoid of natural cycles. The absence of horizons, vegetation, and silence disrupted her cognitive functions. Each step through this entanglement of metal and steel deepened her incomprehension. This city seemed designed not to be inhabited, but to be exploited. How can they live in such an environment, she thought. At that moment, a certainty imposed itself upon her. The Tech had not merely transformed their city. They had altered their relationship with the living world, perhaps even their own biology, in order to make such an environment viable. That realization, more than the architecture itself, triggered a deep unease within her. Arrival in the city of the Tech was mandatory through the long outer extremity of the web. Indeed, all Tech cities were built according to the same architectural organization, standardized on a planetary scale. This uniformity ensured controlled circulation of individuals, resources, and energy flows. The urban structure was organized around a central core, known as the spider. It was composed of 7 monumental legs, arranged radially and structured across multiple functional levels. Each leg constituted an autonomous urban axis, combining transport corridors, residential zones, and industrial exploitation areas. The extremities of the legs took the form of cylindrical tubes approximately 15 kilometers in diameter. These peripheral sections served as entry points into the city and ensured a gradual transition between the outside world and the urban core. The closer one moved toward the center, the larger the diameter of the structures became. The main body of the legs reached nearly 30 kilometers in diameter, integrating increasingly complex infrastructures. At the center of the whole structure stood the head of the spider, a colossal sphere 60 kilometers in diameter. This true nerve center of the city housed the decision-making systems, governance artificial intelligences, and biological and social control units. The architecture of the web had nothing aesthetic in the traditional human sense. It responded exclusively to imperatives of optimization, surveillance, and total control of the urban environment. Every movement, every breath, every interaction was potentially measurable and exploitable. Within the web, circulation was relatively free at the periphery. These outer zones served as transit areas, sites of subordinate labor and residential sectors for the majority of the population. Control remained discreet but constant, ensured by algorithmic surveillance systems capable of evaluating individual behavior in real time. As one moved closer to the legs of the structure, access became progressively restricted. Specific authorizations were required to cross each threshold, granted only after validation of strict criteria: functional utility, behavioral conformity, and biological compatibility with internal environments. For ordinary citizens, such authorizations were extremely rare, if not virtually impossible to obtain. Access to the legs thus constituted a privilege reserved for a carefully selected minority. These zones housed the city's strategic infrastructures, energy production centers, advanced computation units, and platforms for social regulation. As for the head of the web, it was completely forbidden to the general population. This central sphere was reserved for a technocratic elite whose members never left this closed space. Isolated from the rest of the city, they lived in an environment entirely controlled and optimized for survival, longevity, and decision-making efficiency. The web, therefore, did not merely organize urban space, it materialized an absolute hierarchy, inscribed directly into the very architecture of the city. This is part 1 of chapter 2 of my science fiction novel, written in 2020. If you enjoyed this chapter, feel free to like and subscribe to motivate me to present chapter 2, part 2.